Our next guest believes the AI spending trend, well, it's going to continue. Matt Bryson, Wedbush Securities Senior Vice President of Equity Research from Hardware, joins us now. Has a buy on Nvidia. Price target at even 1,000. 60 Minutes does a great job of informing people about things that, about Nvidia perhaps that so many don't know about. Not our audience. They know plenty. So let's forget about that and just talk about last week's news that was more important for our audience, which is namely Alphabet, Microsoft, Meta. Those CapEx numbers were enormous, Matt. What does it mean for Nvidia when you look through those numbers in terms of how much of that spend ends up with that company?
Look, these large data center operators have been spending more and more on AI as a percentage of their CapEx. Now they're telling you they're going to spend more in CapEx, and that a lot of that's going to be devoted to AI. NVIDIA said multiple times that the cloud is more than 50% of their spend. I think if you add social media in there, you're probably talking more than 2/3 of their spend. And so if those large consumers are going to spend more, that's a great thing for NVIDIA.
Yeah, I mean, so how do you model it out? I mean, I can go through, I think of Tesla and what they're going to spend, not to mention even Musk's XAI startup, which is raising billions to basically spend in the data center, so to speak, and on from there. Is the market justified in sort of the current multiple on this stock, and or even should it be higher given the potential it has?
Yeah, NVIDIA from a multiple perspective isn't crazy expensive. So the last time we downgraded NVIDIA, it was because it was getting close to 50 times, which you have to go back to Cisco in 2000 at the peak of the internet bubble to have that type of valuation historically for such a large company. Now, from an earnings perspective, if I remember correctly, my multiple is based on a little over 30 times. NVIDIA's traded there lots historically. So I don't think it's expensive. I think rather the question is at some point, do we get a pause in investment because some of the promises of AI haven't shown up yet? I don't think that's happening this year. I don't think it's happening through Blackwell. So we're a year plus out from that being risk, in my view.
We're going to discuss NVIDIA. Is this going to be the big winner after those announcements from Meta Platforms, Google, Alphabet, Microsoft? The CapEx spend is just astronomical into the AI space. It seems like a race at this point. Let's bring in senior markets correspondent Diane King-Hall to have a discussion. Diane, the stock's up 75%. And it seems to be it hasn't even reported earnings, and it seems to be the beneficiary of all this spending, right?
Absolutely. And you made a comment earlier. Actually, I'm not sure if it was you or Kevin who talked about the breadth today. And the breadth might not be wide. And while the scope is narrow, it has been accretive to NVIDIA today, especially when you think about that CapEx spend from companies like Meta, like Alphabet, Google, like Microsoft even, is helping to fuel this run in NVIDIA today. That stock right now up about 5%, not quite at its highs, but at its highs of the day, but close to it, right? And it's above that threshold level, that milestone level you talked about, above 850 now in terms of where it's trading. So what happened here? There was a lot of talk about this AI spend and how beneficial this is to NVIDIA on these earnings calls from Google, from Microsoft. So Alphabet, Google parent company Alphabet talked about this. You had CFO Ruth Porat talking about this on their earnings calls, and the use of NVIDIA chips. You're looking at Jensen Huang there. But both of them saying, although they're using in-house chips, they are also using these chips from NVIDIA. Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai said, we offer, quote, an industry-leading portfolio of NVIDIA GPUs. They also mentioned their own units as well. But again, the highlight to NVIDIA. Microsoft talked about it on its earnings call. CEO Satya Nadella said, quote, we offer the most diverse selection of AI accelerators, including the latest from NVIDIA. We mentioned AMD as well. But again, we know, they talked about their own chips as well, but we know that NVIDIA has been and continues to be the leader in this AI space.
Since the dawn of GPUs and AI, NVIDIA's tech has successfully exceeded that of their peers. This titan has been in the industry for decades, pushing the boundaries of AI in their quest for domination. Today, many would say that Nvidia stands above competitors like AMD and Intel, and the company is also backed by various institutional investors like Morgan Stanley and Citi, who regard it as the leading AI chipmaker. This brings us to the main topic of today's video, and that is Bloomberg analysts making an extremely ambitious Nvidia forecast compared to the company's main competitors AMD and Intel. According to the analysts, Nvidia is expected to generate $40 billion of revenue from AI GPU sales this year, leaving AMD and Intel in the dust, as this figure is 80x Intel's own estimate. So, let's get into why Bloomberg analysts are so bullish on Nvidia and whether you as an investor should be too. But before we do that, if you want to keep up with Nvidia's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Now, back to today's video.
And Jim, you press the buy button on Nvidia. We're not going to hear from them for a little while, but nice price action today, up 5%.
Well, yeah, I mean, we got a meaningful pullback over the last few weeks, and it's found its footing. It's going higher. I continue to think that the valuation on this name is actually quite inexpensive. And I know that at mid-30s, some people may look aghast at that, but just remember the earnings growth that you're looking at for the next few quarters is likely to be well above 30%. Folks, that won't last forever, but it is for the next few quarters. So I'm comfortable adding it here. I'm not, Courtney, just for the record, I'm not adding big positions here because I do think this market overall is going to be choppy. I think we're still adjusting to higher interest rates, but I do think from here to year end, we're going to look back at this price target or this price level on Nvidia and feel it was a very good entry point.
AMD is expected to generate around $3.5 billion in revenue from its new Instinct MI300X AI accelerator, while Intel will see some loose change with its Gaudi AI accelerator, with Bloomberg analysts estimating just $500 million in sales. These numbers might sound good to AMD and Intel, but they both pale in comparison to $40 billion from Nvidia, which is 80x more than Intel's $500 million. These numbers were discussed by Bloomberg Technology during an interview with Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger a few days ago. And you could say that he had no real answer to how Intel's new Gaudi AI accelerator will compete with Nvidia and its new Blackwell chips, which was extremely disappointing. Keep in mind that Bloomberg analysts expect Nvidia to 80x Intel's revenue in just AI GPU sales, so this doesn't even account for sales of other Nvidia products like its popular GeForce graphics cards. And while AMD is in a better position than Intel, with its Instinct MI300X AI accelerator expected to generate $3.5 billion in revenue, that's still a far cry from Nvidia, as Nvidia's expected revenue is 11x AMD's, to be exact. But how likely is it for Nvidia to achieve this insane growth? And should investors load up on shares because of these estimates? Let's find out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Investocracy. The truth is, even this estimate from the Bloomberg analysts could be considered conservative. Think about it like this. Nvidia generated $18.4 billion in revenue from its data center business in fiscal year 2024's quarter 4 alone, and for the entire year, it generated a whopping $47.4 billion. That's just with the current Gen H100 GPUs, so imagine how much more money Nvidia will make when the company's new GPUs, including the H200 AI GPU and the next-gen Blackwell AI GPUs, are released. That's why I'm sure that we're going to see far more than $50 billion for Nvidia this year, and maybe the company will be able to hit $70 or $90 billion in revenue over the next year from its AI GPUs alone. Nvidia is clearly dominant in this market given their first-mover advantage in AI chips for data centers. Also, their software ecosystem and broad product range also gives them a substantial lead over competitors in the fast-growing AI market. There's no denying that AMD and Intel will see some growth going forward, but despite this, analysts expect Nvidia to maintain the market lead, with revenue from one segment alone reaching up to 10x its nearest competitor. But Nvidia isn't stopping here, as it's also reportedly working on a brand new project that will completely thwart competitors. So let's talk about it, shall we?
You know, Diane, we have to make it 4 more weeks till NVIDIA's earnings, May 22nd. That's a long time to speculate. We're going to be tired of speculating. But it amazes me that as long as NVIDIA has dominated, it's been a good run. They come out with new chips.
It has.
There's no one else out there trying to work on customer substitution efforts for NVIDIA. And everyone's, the stock's $100 off its high, so it's not like there hasn't been some profit taking, but are they just going to run away with this and no one's ever going to catch them?
I mean, they are maintaining the pole position. It's hard to play catch up. You have AMD trying to play catch up, and you had Alphabet talking about uses there, or excuse me, Microsoft talking about using AMD chips as well. But AMD has continued to be a distant second in terms of that space. The stock is gaining a little bit of steam today, but nothing compared to, say, Nvidia. It is up 2.8% at the moment. So you're seeing some sympathy movement there. And yes, it is the kind of second in position. But when you think about a Usain Bolt, I don't know who's the second after you. We don't even know the name of the person who's second after Usain Bolt. Nvidia is exactly. Nvidia is the Usain Bolt here, so it just continues to maintain its leadership in this space. It's got a long time. Others have to seriously play catch up if they want to even try to come close to Nvidia.
Yeah, everybody expecting another blowout quarter as far as sales goes, just from some of these numbers from these mega cap tech names. All right, thanks to Diane King Hall, senior markets correspondent here.
According to recent reports, Nvidia is planning to build a second massive R&D center in Taiwan, doubling down on the country that already houses its largest research hub outside of the US. Nvidia opened its first Asia-based AI R&D center in Taiwan 2 years ago, investing around $715 million and employing 400 people there. Now, it looks to build a second one after the first one was a great success. In fact, the first R&D center that the company built in Taiwan mainly works on AI chip research and development, as well as GPUs. The R&D center also helped build Taiwan's biggest supercomputer with the Taiwan government, providing a $205 million subsidy for Nvidia to build it. Nvidia's decision to establish its R&D centers in Taiwan is no random move, but a tactical masterstroke by the company. For instance, the Taiwan government is keen on maintaining the country's huge market share of the global semiconductor market, as the country has around 60% of the market, so it'll always support semiconductor companies operating inside it, and the money it gave Nvidia for its first center is the perfect example. Having a strong foothold in Taiwan is also hugely beneficial to Nvidia, as it would bring the company closer to its closest partner and supplier, TSMC, as well as amazing talent with a lot of expertise when it comes to semiconductor chips. In fact, China Times reported that Nvidia is reportedly happy with Taiwan's human resources quality and cost. To sum up, Taiwan has advantages when it comes to hardware, infrastructure, and talent. Taiwanese staffers are highly professional and disciplined in their work, and China Times adds that the semiconductor ecosystem is complete there, and anyone who follows the industry would know that they're not wrong. Nvidia expanding its R&D capabilities is very important, as researching and developing new technologies will help it keep its competitive edge and stay ahead of its competitors. Remember when CEO Jensen Huang talked about how developing a technology like Ultra Ethernet would be great for AI networking solutions for data centers and supercomputers? Maybe Nvidia could study new technologies like this in the new R&D center, giving itself more room to grow by offering more products to its many customers who'd probably be willing to buy any new tech that Nvidia comes out with. The company is going all in when it comes to developing cutting-edge technologies in AI, graphics, robotics, and more. And while rivals certainly aren't standing still, Nvidia's relentless innovation and massive investments in R&D suggest that it will be extremely difficult for competitors to close the gap. So, Nvidia is still poised to dominate the explosively growing market for AI accelerators used in data centers. Their early lead in this space gives them a tremendous advantage, especially with previously mentioned catalysts and the company's recent activity. Therefore, Nvidia stock will likely keep rising, and even just good rumors like this R&D Center one could be great for the stock because they often generate increased investor interest in the company and trading activity. That's why it's really no wonder analysts remain so optimistic about Nvidia's ability to deliver strong growth and outpace rivals. But what do you think? What are your expectations for Nvidia? Do you think it's better than AMD and Intel? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. If you would like to know more latest updates about Nvidia and what they have been up to, then go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.